Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's Sip and Solve. I'm Brody Oldham. I'm the Director of Analytic Consultancy with Experian's Commercial Data Science team. I manage a team of consultants focused on commercial and small business analytics, and today I have the privilege of walking you through and helping you a bit to overcome your anxiety and hesitancy that you might have in the use of advanced modeling methodologies. We're going to do all this in about 15 minutes. It's quick. And I will tell you, I have a steaming cup of maple pecan coffee this morning, which is a local treat here in Texas. I hope you have something good in front of you too. Since we only have about 15 minutes, let's jump right into it. So with all of the growing amounts of data, this really proliferation of data into our environment, it's been growing exponentially year over year. Many companies are looking to integrate machine learning within their analytic, model development, and even credit decisioning. But why? Well, we've seen clients who use these methodologies see 15 to 20% performance improvements over their current champion models. Now, that can be a significant increase in revenue creation and in recovery and downturn like we're having now with COVID. It also helps lenders to make more accurate and informed decisions for customers, really because these methods take in significantly more data to create a more holistic view of a customer or prospect. Now, there are several steps in deploying a machine learning model, and I always start with the deployment and really discussing that with my stakeholders to ensure the types of methods that I'm evaluating will be deployable. Now, I'm going to pour my time into optimizing and developing these machine learning models, and these models take a lot of technical horsepower to process and meet decisioning SLAs for our clients. Now, off the shelf, we have models, machine learning models, that make this pretty easy. And so companies like Experian, and certainly we do, and we're one of the leaders in the industry, have these types of methodologies easily accessible to you. But this is a topic that we can cover in another session. You should always have a pathway to deployment. Now, once I've identified my stakeholders and walk through my deployment needs, I identify and pull the appropriate regulated and non-regulated data and prepare it for my development process. Now, I say this pretty quick, but this is really essentially the step that takes the most time. It's the most important to my development process. When you get into a more advanced technique, you'll really see the need to consider what data is coming in, where the model is being fed from. And remember, these models can ingest large amounts of data, variables, a lot more than a traditional model. Now, once you have the data and begin evaluating methods, you'll choose the method that performs the best, and you have really the ability to explain how it works. That's really the big criteria when we think about regulators or even internal reviewers. Now, that can be a challenge with some of the techniques that are out there because they're complex, and in some methodologies, they even have hidden layers of decisions. So let's think about machine learning. It's really an application of artificial intelligence, AI, that is a synergistic exercise between human and a machine. The way to think about this is that systems learn from the data. They identify patterns. They solve problems. They make decisions and even make informed predictions. Within supervised learning, the machine learning algorithm is taught by example, and some of those examples of inputs and outputs that are provided to the system, and when they're put in, those inputs and outputs, the machine learning algorithm really provides the process of how to get from the indicators to the outcomes. And after some sufficient training, the system or algorithm produces an inferred function to make the prediction. Examples of these ML techniques include gradient boosting, random forests, and even neural networks, and you've probably heard of a few of these. Now, once the model and documentation have been completed, model governance, compliance, legal reviews conclude, the model is deployed, and quality control audits are completed to really ensure the model is performing very close to the development validation. The process doesn't end when you deploy, though. You should never think that. It's not a set it and forget it. To make a regulator really comfortable with your new choice of methodology, you need to make the documentation and test results feel very familiar to that reviewer. You want to be able to explain how the model works in layman terms for the internal and external reviewer, and where your new model should be used and the capabilities that it has in the targets. Not every model can be used in a very general sense. Some are very focused on a particular outcome. You also want to understand how often validations and monitoring needs to be performed to ensure that the new methodology that you selected doesn't go off course and create additional headaches and cost. Remember, the reason that you're taking this path is that the reward is great for you and for your customer. So now that we have a view of the considerations, let's tackle one of the biggest challenges companies like you face when your regulator or model governance reviewer shows up at your door. These methods can be a challenge because they are complex. They do have hidden layers of decisioning and oftentimes just not familiar with that reviewer. So I've looked at several machine learning explainability methods like SHEP, SABAS, or LIME, and they're available and used by some of our clients. I've also been helping internally to develop some of our own. Now, you'll need to find a methodology that works for your business. Experian can help you through the process and help you to develop a easily understandable talk track that really aligns with that method. Now, when you're looking at the challenge of transparency, and that plays into that explainability discussion, there are a lot of variety of offerings out there in the market. And the need or focus of our work should really be leading toward developing the ability to explain the decisions that we're making to our end customers. And I really find these tree-based structures, like the gradient boosted technique, really the easiest. It produces an algorithm that's explainable without hidden layers. This generally lessens certain model governance concerns pertaining to the use of the machine learning technique for credit scoring and decisioning, because explaining how a tree-based decision is made can be easily visualized, and this understanding applies to a more advanced machine learning version. So here's a quick and easy way to think about trees. On the left is the first tree. You have 10 customers at the top, and as decisions are cascaded and made through the tree, customers fall into different buckets. And there's a different offer made at each of the bottom nodes based on the customer's risk. Now, in machine learning, it's not just one tree, but it's hundreds or thousands of trees. The methodology is the same in each of the individual trees, so it's easy to understand how this type of segmentation works. Now, when you explain the tree-based and you can visualize a score, you really build trust in the accuracy of the decision. Both globally and locally, your end reviewer, whether your compliance, risk, legal, or regulator, whatever, even your end customer, you want to understand what contributed to that decision that was made. And adverse action codes are critical in this instance. Experian delivered and developed a machine learning methodology that provides consistent decisions and adverse action reasons for the life of the model. So why is machine learned? When you'll hear that term from Experian, why is machine learned different and easier to explain to a regulator? Well, the machine learning model is developed and trained using advanced methodologies and squeezing every little last bit of performance out of the available data. And the model is transitioned, and you're going to listen for the difference in the words here. The model is transitioned from a dynamic machine learning model with an ING and that's one that learns from feedback, to a static machine learned with an ED on the end model for deployment. This really means that the model will not change decisions based on feedback once it's deployed. The decisions are more predictive because they're using advanced techniques and methodology, and really have a longer shelf life because they're not changing and moving with the environment. Now you've really built your model. How do you take it from the perceived black box to a feeling of familiarity and comfort with the regulator? And I really, when I think about today's events and the things that are happening and how all the things that are piling up on your plate, when you get in front of a regulator, you really want to hear peaceful music playing in the background. That would be a joy. And to do that, you need to create really the standard model governance documentation that you're used to creating. Reports that provide a summary of performance metrics such as KS, Gini, or area under the curve, as well as a correlation matrix and list curves. Now, these reports are used to evaluate overall model performance and can be compared to other models developed using the same or competing methods. You need to show why you chose your desired method over all the others you tested. The most important part of creating this documentation is that it's very familiar to your internal model governance as well as to the regulator. This establishes that baseline of trust and stability and performance in what you're creating. Now, I might recommend a few additional reports more specific to machine learning, and you can include some of these in your model documentation. I think they'll help. You can include an evaluation of model features or attributes such as a target plot. It gives you feature importance, gain, coverage, frequency, a partial dependence plot, individual conditional expectations or permutation feature importance. All of these add to the detail and visualization of the individual features and their importance in the decision being made. And I would recommend that you also consider adverse action reporting. This is an easy one. It would contain a summary of the top 4 or 5 adverse actions, and this is going to help you and your regulator to understand which elements are the most impactful to the final decision you're making for your end customer. So are you feeling better yet? Getting in front of these concerns during the development stage is really important, and that's why we're here today, to just get it out in front of you, give you a chance to really digest it. And I think about it like cleaning my house. If you wait all the way through the week till the weekend, you end up spending all Saturday cleaning, when you should be doing much more important and fun things. Innovating, be out there in front of your customers. So really being prepared and having your documentation up to date and in place and in an easily accessible area so that you can make preparations for an audit quickly and answer ad hoc questions more efficiently. That's going to make your regulator have trust in you that you have it all together. Providing a monitoring and validation schedule will answer data and reporting freshness concerns that a regulator might have, so a good thing to have on hand. And the cadence also fits within a governance framework in order to manage risk models across the model lifecycle. And I recommend also ensuring some full traceability of all the model and policy changes that you have throughout its lifetime. Having this change log really is going to help you in providing cause and effect responses for performance irregularities that you might see across the lifetime of your model as it's installed. Now, regulators like to understand how models will be impacted by generic stress scenarios, and there are a few out there that are pretty standard, as well as events like COVID. It's the big one that we're dealing with now. And the reporting you create will require some forward-looking information to be incorporated into the risk analysis, inferring performance for capital requirement calculations and policies. Just good to have. So Experian can help you develop these processes, reports, provide some guidance as far as where the numbers that you're calculating, the results, the targets that you're hitting, if they're in line with the industry, and help you to really develop your whole model governance framework. And remember, we have these machine learning models right off the shelf with all the documentation already available. Well, that's all I had for you today. Thank you for spending your break with me. Hopefully I was able to help you overcome a few points of anxiety in regards to the explainability and reporting that are really going to help you feel more comfortable in using these very predictive advanced modeling techniques in credit decisions. The familiarity that you find with standardizing reports and having everything prepared in your modeling framework is really going to help your regulator feel very comfortable and familiar with what you're producing as well, and make audits go much more quickly. So if you have any questions or want to learn more about what I talked about today, feel free to use the link you see here to chat with us. Also, if you want to get notified of future sessions, make sure you join the list. Now back to work.